Value is in the eye of the beholder. And as a sales rep, your job is to help the beholder, your prospect, to recognize the value in the solution that you have to offer. But how do you even break through? How do you help them to recognize that this truly can help them? But can it? In this episode, we're going to talk to you about that. How you identify how you can be of value and the best way to grab attention. You're going to love this one. Hey, everyone. Welcome to another great episode of the Sales Evangelist Podcast. I'm your host, Donald C. Kelly, the Sales Evangelist. And I'm so excited for another great episode. I'm so excited to be here with you today. And on this episode, we have a fantastic guest. Her name is Julie Thomas. She has a remarkable book that I want you to go check out. It's all around value. And we're going to have a link down in the show notes. But today we want to talk about the era we're in right now, the climate we're in as a sales rep. Obviously, we focus a lot on building a pipeline, but how do we ensure that we're grabbing people's attention even more so? And how do we bring stuff how do we know when somebody is ready to have a conversation and that we are relevant enough? There are things that you can do, and we don't have a silver bullet, and Julie's not going to give you one. I'll tell you that straight up. But she's going to give you some strategies that's worked and things that she's taught in her book. If this is your first time listening to the podcast, know that we're here to help you to 3 to 5x your sales pipeline with quality opportunities, hands down. And we want to help you to close more business. Each episode lines up around that. And today specifically, Julie is going to focus around that value concept. How do we find and bring value to the convo? You're going to love it. It's absolutely amazing. Find a link to her book down below. As we dive in, you get a chance to hear more about why she wrote the book right now. And then also you get a chance to see and hear how remarkable she is with the strategies. Check it out. Julie, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Donald. Great to be here today.
First off, congratulations on the book. Anyone that's been down a path, they know it's a journey to write a book. And so we're super grateful for that. And I would love to take a few minutes. I bragged about you a little bit there early on, but I'd love for you to take a few minutes. Tell us a little bit more about what you do, Julie, and what led you to writing this book.
Awesome. So I lead an organization called Value Selling Associates, and we're a world-class sales methodology used by business-to-business sales teams all over the globe who want to improve their sales results and compete on value, not price. And I wrote my first book in 2006 that was kind of a primer on the value selling framework at the time. And I kept being asked, well, what's different? What's changed? And while a lot has changed, certainly how we buy, the explosion of technology, depending on the industry you're in, the explosion of alternatives customers have to the problems you might solve in different ways they can solve them. A lot has also stayed the same. And so I wrote the book to kind of celebrate what's stayed the same in the context of our world that has changed so much.
Well, this is going to be perfect because we are in some change. We've been a part of some changes going on relatively recently. One of those things, Julie, and we have a link down to the book as well in the show notes. So if any of you guys want to get access to that, we can find all that information down below. But Julie, let's go in and talk about what are some of the challenges you are seeing right now when it comes to sellers, specifically around grabbing attention, because I think that's a huge part that has changed in the game recently.
Yeah, I mean, the reality is for most of us that are in sales today, nothing happens until we get into a conversation with a potential buyer. And getting the attention of that buyer to get that initial conversation going is harder now than it ever has been for a number of reasons. Buyers are bombarded by people just like us. I know in my day, my typical day, I'm getting a ton of outreach. Some things that I might be interested in someday, but a lot of things I will probably never be interested in because people don't even know what my business is or don't know anything about the type of company that I run. And therefore they're trying to sell me things that given the current state of my business, I would never need. And that gets annoying because it's easier just to say no to everyone than it is to figure out which are the few that I should be talking to maybe get some insight, and solve a problem that I might have in my business that's a barrier to my success in the long run. And so, sales reps that are doing that outreach have to differentiate themselves from the rest of the pack. And oh, by the way, the pack now includes bots and AI and everything else that is not authentic. My last name happens to be Thomas. So, I mean, one of the first screeners I have is if somebody reaches out to me and says, "Dear Thomas," they haven't even done enough research to know that's my second name, not my first name.
Yeah.
If you can't take a few minutes to figure out who you're trying to talk to, I'm not going to take a few minutes and waste my time.
I agree with you on that standpoint, where it's very challenging, very cumbersome, to be able to go through all of that, to fish through everything, and then to identify which is which, what is relevant, what is not relevant, and then also to back to the point you're saying with the bots, like that is annoying. I right now, go back to what you're saying. When you were saying this, I pictured my inbox, and though some of these sales approaches, the pitch, the outreach has been good, it's just definitely not relevant to me. And then you feel, in a sense, like I feel guilty because I want to help this person, but I'm not gonna buy something I don't need. And then also on the others, because that's the sales side of me, right? And then because you want to give empathy towards it, but then the other side of it too is like, when is enough enough? Because the velocity is going to keep increasing, especially like you said with AI, where more and more people are running the same place, putting out more. It's like I figured if I just push out way more outreach, because I'm not getting enough replies, therefore if I do more of them, then I'm going to increase the odds of getting like a sliver or two here or there. And that's where it bothers me.
The old paradigm was that sales was a numbers game. If you're making 10 calls to get 2 meetings, gosh, if I make 100 calls, I'll get 20 meetings by that same fact. But I'm not sure that it's a pure numbers game anymore. I mean, of course, the more people we outreach, the higher the likelihood we're either going to be the right message at the right time to the right person. People spend more time trying to figure out the right person than they do figuring out the right message or the right time. And all three of those have to be spot on to get a response. And so one of the things that we try to help people focus on is you probably are never going to exactly know the right time unless there's a big public, announcement or a big industry shift that's well publicized that you have insight to. But you can work on your message and you can work on the context of what you are putting out there, and how you ask for time. And I have no interest in spending 15 minutes to learn about somebody's product. And that's probably what over half of the message. If you just give me 15 minutes, I'll show you how my cool thing can be the best thing in your world. And that's not what I want to talk about. I want to talk about, the old, I want to talk about my challenges. Yeah. And then you tell me if there's something for us to continue, but I don't want to just be a part of a demo.
So how do I go about grabbing your attention, and what can I do? Like you're saying, we're going through this. You just received, like, you're receiving 15 other emails just like this one. I mean, just from 15 other reps like me are lined up, getting ready to send today. Maybe 10 of us and then 5 AIs. But what can we do to then differentiate in that situation? What's the formula per se?
So I think there's a couple of things. Number one, you have to demonstrate that you know who I am. You have to know that I'm a sales training company, that I'm Julie, I'm not Thomas. And you have to know a little bit about me. I mean, as crazy as that sounds, our company was formerly called Value Vision. And it turns out there is a discount eyeglass chain in the Southeast called Value Vision.
And that's what I was going to say, because I'm in Florida.
Yeah. You would not believe the number of outreach I still get from people that think I sell eyeglasses.
Oh my goodness, this is
And,
awesome.
I mean, all they'd have to do is take one peek at my website or one peek at my LinkedIn profile. They don't even have to read the whole thing to say, oh, wait, I don't think she's in the eyeglass business.
Yeah.
So you kind of you got to show me that you know me, at least enough to be, relevant.
Okay.
The next thing is you gotta teach me something. You gotta share an insight. You gotta add some value, and in adding that value, almost pique my interest of saying, "Hey, I want to learn more about that," or "That's an interesting point of view. I want to learn more about that." So, we often talk about content that we use to share insight, and we're teaching people you don't lead with your product, you don't lead with your solution. You lead with an insight on what you predict is a nasty, gnarly problem facing that organization that individual is probably wrestling with. Um,
Mm.
and today, if I'm calling on salespeople or sales leaders, that nasty, gnarly problem is how do you get in the door and how do you differentiate and how do you win more than you lose? And that's what I want to talk about. What are the barriers to your success? I don't know if I've got the best program for you,
Yeah.
but if we can understand what are some of the challenges that you recognize, then together we can determine if we might be a fit and the best fit for what you're looking for right now.
Let's go through an example, just for instance. Let's say, let's go back down a path of a sales leader. Just to use that example, that's something that you do know. They're a sales leader. I don't know what particular industry you service, but let's say if it's like I'm a marketing company, and a sales leader. We have 5 sales reps on our team. How I'm getting pitched from Donald, I'm getting pitched from you, I'm getting pitched from Mark Hunter, and then the Sandler reps, of course, they're gonna hit me up as well. But how would you go back to what you were saying? Like, teach me an insight that I may not necessarily know. We can role play it, or you just walk through what that would sound like.
Well, so in terms of getting in the door, the insight might be something about what are the trends facing B2B buyers in an agency as a B2B buyer, marketing agency, that is the barrier to success. And then asking to have a conversation about how are you approaching this? What is your experience in your reps being able to overcome that? So that insight is the hook that gets me in the door. Then once I get into a conversation, I can start to understand what, from your point of view, is getting in the way of optimum sales results that you would expect. And you're right. In my industry, it's a very crowded market.
Yeah.
You've got a lot of single shingles, like I call, individual sales trainers. You've got other methodologies. You've got other franchise type firms like a Sandler, etc. So I then have the task of not only modeling what I'm going to teach your salespeople to do, because you should never hire me for a sales trainer if you don't like the way I'm selling to you.
Exactly right.
And so modeling that, but also differentiating our approach from those other alternatives that might be vying for your attention or might already have your attention. And the end of the day, it's what do you believe as the buyer is going to get you the fastest path to results, and what's the best fit for you, and facilitating you making a buying decision. I think that's where sellers really thrive, is we facilitate the buying process. We don't push our agenda on our buyers. And it's a different way to have a conversation. I'm not there to pitch. I'm not there to push a rope. I'm there to create dialogue that together we're going to collaborate on how we can have the maximum positive outcome on your business together.
I love it. there are different elements of that process. We talked about the idea of us doing that email, of bringing that insight. What are some of the what are your thoughts and approach when it comes towards that outreach? Is that omni-channel that you're seeing work best? And I know a lot of people talk about this.
Yeah.
Because I just feel like sometimes people get hung up on one category. I love LinkedIn no matter what. I love it, but I still do my phone and my email approach. But sometimes I feel like folks feel like you have to get into one camp. And I think I have an idea what the answer you will give is. But what do you talk to people about, Julie, especially when it comes towards this, to help break through that noise?
Well, I do think it's an omni-channel, because the one thing I don't know
Sure.
until I talk with you is what's your preferred mode of communication.
Mm-hmm.
And if I only am using one and it's the wrong one, I'm never going to make that connection, right? So you've got one-on-one modes of communication, which today is social, which for the B2B buyer is primarily LinkedIn. And I'm a huge LinkedIn user too. But you use LinkedIn for a couple of things, and we can come back to that one. It is direct email, but that's changing. You never know if your email got through the spam filters, and that's changing. And then it's the phone. And the reality is, my experience is 95% of the reps are still reluctant to pick up the phone. They'll tell you all the reasons it doesn't make sense. No one answers their phone. I'm working at home. I don't have the right number, whatever. And they're missing the boat, because people do answer their phone. People do read their voicemails, but they'll get those messages. And the phone is still a valuable tool for communication. And then you've got the one-on-many, which is your kind of traditional networking thing, whether it's events and social events, and it's trying to get people into webinars or other events that your company might do, and then using LinkedIn to share that content and insight to also be perceived as a value-added subject matter expert in your space. LinkedIn is great for outreach, but it's also great for turning yourself into a magnet.
Yeah, and I think people miss that part, because it takes work. All right, Julie, it's like it's not gonna come to fruition. I just go and create a LinkedIn profile, and then all of a sudden, like, people just gonna flock to me. It takes me, and I think it goes back to what you said, like, there. It takes me sharing that insight or being willing to be visible in my niche. You're not trying to tell you to be like Kim Kardashian, for goodness sake. Like, you just need to be somebody in your space. If I'm a manufacturer in Milwaukee, I just need the people that will buy from me in Milwaukee to know me. And that's not a huge pool in comparison to the whole world. You know what I mean?
Agreed. It's a long game, right? But it's not just having your LinkedIn profile. And quite frankly, it's not just posting. It's engaging. So it's being on there so that when people comment to your posts, you comment back and get in a conversation, or at least acknowledge that. It's liking and sharing other people's content. And so many people look at it very myopically. I'm going to post, where is everybody? Nobody showed up.
Yeah.
And it's really, the funny thing is it's called social media, and it's not, I'm just going to stand out on my front porch and yell. I'm going to go meet my neighbors, and I'm going to have a conversation. It's all of the things that we do face to face, just in this other manifestation online. And then the art, and this is where it gets tricky, is how to move those conversations to a real conversation, right? Whether it's through a DM interchange or commenting, at what point do you gain enough trust to earn the right to say, okay, Don, now I'm going to pick up the phone and call you. Let's continue this as a synchronous conversation, as opposed to, short sentences back and forth.
Yeah. And I what I like too is this is this idea of like the people in the neighborhood who tend to be the most connected, the ones who, folks see like something happen in the yard and they're willing to go and help them, are the ones who do actually talk to the other neighbors, and they don't sit back and just wait for the neighbors to talk to them. Because, like, for instance, the other day, I saw a piece of mail on the floor, but I know my neighbor and our mailbox are close to each other. So I picked it up and I put it back in his box, and I let him know later because we've communicated, we've had dialogue before. Where I'm passing a house down the street and I don't necessarily know them, it's probably harder for me to do so. But it's critical that you, on quote unquote that LinkedIn platform, that you go talk to some of the other neighbors down the street and engage with them. And then the algorithm works in your favor too, because if I'm in Milwaukee, focusing on manufacturers in Milwaukee, I probably should engage with people who are posting in Milwaukee, because I'm probably going to get more access to more manufacturers, the association, those other companies, even my competitors, for goodness sake. Like, I think there's, like you said, there's so much there that we just tend to be more linear. I post and you need to buy from me.
Yeah, we just tend to focus on our own activities, I think, sometimes, as opposed to engaging. And let's face it, I mean, you and I both know that we could log into LinkedIn every day and get lost. I mean,
yeah,
it can be a rat hole, an interesting rat hole, but it can be a rat hole. So you've got to figure out, how do I do that, but don't kill the rest of my productivity because I'm living online, right? But I do think, what do people love? Authenticity, people that are genuine, people that are humble. I mean, you can be humble and successful and not be perceived as arrogant. People that share their lessons learned, which is hard for a lot of people to talk about things that went wrong and then how they got through that eye of the needle, if you will, to the other side. But those are some of the most interesting and engaging posts that I find.
I was going to say, like when I do that, I find that I get the most engagement. Like, people they appreciate it. It's like, bro, this guy is not superhuman. It's like, no, I messed up. I got hung up on, or this is a situation, like the LinkedIn request didn't work out or whatever. Like, tell them what's going down.
Absolutely.
The deal that I was working on didn't work, and here's some of the findings that I realized, mistakes that I made.
Well, because, and we know this, and I know this from being in sales, and you know this from being in sales, and even as I wrote my book, there's no silver bullet.
No way. No.
There's skills, luck, timing, messaging. Like, it's the perfect storm, and when it comes together, it's magic. But there's a lot of work to get to that perfect storm, and there's no silver bullet. There's no, anybody who tells you that they have 100% success with a template to get a meeting is just lying to you.
Yeah.
There is no such thing. So, really understanding how people think, what's in it for them, why would they want to spend time with you? Not why do you want to spend time with them, which they don't really care about.
No.
How do you, even if they never buy from you, but they give you that 30-minute meeting or that 45-minute meeting, how do you leave that meeting with them getting some value? Because people do spend their time and attention before they spend their money. And even if the timing isn't right for you now, how do I leave you with such a great impression so that in 6 months, when something changes, you're like, I want to call that Julie. Because I think there might be something there, and it wasn't the right time then, but it is now. Now let me explore that. How do I leave you with that really good taste in your mouth that you're ready to re-engage when the timing is right? I
love that. The line you said, and I have to go back into recording to try to get it, but it was that idea that something around people not interested in purchasing until you show they're interested.
Yeah. You have to be interested to become interesting.
Yeah.
So if you want me to be interested in you, you have to demonstrate that you're interested in me. I mean,
Yeah.
again, think of the social examples of the people that you know that it's all about them. Let me tell you about how great my job is. Let me tell you how cool my new car is. Let me tell you how great of a cook I am. Let me tell you how great this is. And, after about 30 seconds, you just want to get away from those people.
Yeah.
But the people that come up and say, hey, how's your podcast going? What's new in your world? And are interested in you, you tend to lean in and share a little bit more.
Yeah.
And that's all sales is. It's just communication. It's just communication. And it is coming at that communication from a point that I have confidence that I have something that can help people. Now, I don't know if it can help you individually as a person, but I'm pretty sure it might. So let's talk a little bit about you before I share what my ideas
About
are
me.
on how we might be able to partner.
Well, this is absolutely amazing. This is great, Julie. So I'll tell you some of the synopsis that we get back here. Be interested in people. If you do this, you're going to have a higher chance of them being interested in you. Show them that you know them. Is there a way that you can show that you have stuff that you can help them with? This includes bringing valuable insights to them throughout that process.
Absolutely.
Don't be afraid of picking up the phone, and be a good neighbor. Because when you do all of these things, it helps you to be able to be more valuable to those that you're trying to serve. If there's one major piece of advice you want somebody to leave with throughout the whole conversation today, Julie, what's that one major piece of advice?
I think it's that the key to value selling is to really understand your customer and to position your solution, whatever it is, product, service, solution, software, I don't care what it is, as the best alternative for a problem that the buyer believes is worth solving. And I think we spend a lot of time talking about problems or pain or challenges, and they just turn out to be nuisances. They're just not worth fixing right now.
Yeah.
So the key to value selling is to make sure that not only are you solving a real problem, but that problem is worth solving.
That problem's worth solving. There we go. Julie, I love it. Congratulations on the book. We're going to put a link down in our show notes again so folks can get access to it. And I appreciate you being willing to come on the show today. Thank you again.
Loved it. Thank you, Donald.
That was Julie Thomas. If you have not done so already, go find her on LinkedIn. We have all of her details down below in the show notes. And we appreciate you taking a chance to be on a podcast today, Julie, for bringing so much value, many great insights that we can adopt and apply. And some of us may say, well, we know some of these things, but do we do what we know we're supposed to? And that's where I find that we have some issues. And I want to help you to be able to fix that. Again, if you haven't done so, subscribe to our podcast. Take advantage of the opportunity to check out Julie's book, as well as take advantage of our sponsors, because they're giving you amazing offers and great deals and opportunities. If you want to improve your sales skills, check out our Sales Mastermind. It's a wonderful program. All it's designed to do is help sales professionals like you practice and to improve your sales game and give you accountability. And it's been remarkable for the results. For instance, I participated in the mastermind, and last group that we did, I was able to I brought in $300,000 in net new business, and I was like pumped for that. Like, that was great, awesome opportunity. And this was just from doing my outreach efforts. Now imagine what you can do if you were selling full time. If I was selling full time, right? So take advantage of it, jump in, and let me know what you think about the mastermind. Look forward to having you. Find more details down below. As always, I want you to thrive. I want you to succeed, but most importantly, I want you to go out and do big things. See you on the next one.